Good afternoon. The fear of man is a snare or trap, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. So the fear of man will prove to be a snare, but whoever trusts in the Lord is kept safe. Proverbs 29:25. And here is a very good picture. I got off the internet yesterday. And here we go in the message now. The fear of people is a trap is the heading of my message. And let's look at this another version, amplified. The fear of man brings a snare, but whoever leans on, trusts in, and puts his confidence in the Lord is safe and set on high. Here we have another picture of a different sort that says, the fear of the Lord, capital Lord, that's the real name of God. So the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. The chap who wrote this was the wisest man who ever lived, Solomon. He was so wise. The temple was so cleverly done. It was gold. There's the silver. I have a silver cross I've had for about 40 or 50 years. The beginning of wisdom, he said, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. And that's found in, they had the references here, I can't read at the moment, so it's very small. However, I'll put these things on YouTube. The words get there, and I have these sorts of things as the main, as a snap. So let's just read some of the stuff. We've seen two of the Old Testament verses, as I was telling you, Solomon, the Queen of Sheba. He was so well renowned that the Queen of Sheba when she came to see him, was amazed at his richness. The wealth was quite phenomenal. The temple was built with gold. Major gold all around wherever he could. And so this is a very important gentleman, and he was very wise, and he had quite a lot of good points, and in writing about wisdom, he points to the Lord. At the end of the day, if you read about his advice, is that one looks to God and respects God and honors God as a prime way of finding success in life. So in Jesus, when he came to the earth, he was here 2,000 odd years ago, and he lived in Jerusalem, historically more provable than any other fact in history. Hundreds of people saw him risen from the dead. So when we have our calendar before Christ and after Christ, BC and AD, he is the historical figure. He turned history around. Anyway, and before he died, his disciples run away. They were scared. Something happened at the turn of when Christ had risen from the dead. In the 40 days after he'd risen from the dead, these men went out, all of the 12 of them, and they changed the world. They understood the fear of God. They were fear of people. They ran away. The very, very brave Peter denied the Lord 3 times in front of a servant girl. So Jesus here in Luke 12:2 says, I say to you, my friends, Do not be afraid of those who kill the body, and after that have nothing more they can do. But I will point out to you whom you should fear. Fear the one, capital O for one, God obviously, who after he has killed has authority and power to hurl you into hell. Yes, I say to you, stand in great awe of God and fear him. You are not 5 sparrows or morses sold for 2 copper coins, yet not one of them has ever, note the word in here, he's talking about a morse, and okay. Yet not one of them has ever been forgotten in the presence of God. In other words, he knows of every single action. That's why he's called omnipotent, with all power. Omnipresent meaning present anywhere at any time, at any point in history and out of history, because he's in eternity. And also omnipotent, omnipresent, and this one here, omniscient, means he understands and everything. So he would understand that, know about a morse dying. Indeed, Jesus says, the very hairs of your head are all numbered, and do not be afraid. You are far more valuable than many sparrows. Folks, in my closing sentence here, I draw your attention to Genesis 3:16. Then God said to the woman, I will cause you to have more trouble, much trouble, just as he was throwing them out of the Garden of Eden, or increase your pain when you are pregnant in childbearing. I've seen 3 babies being born, my own daughter's born into the world, and I know the agony of childbirth. I'm glad I didn't have to go through it personally, but I felt it quite heavily when I watched my children being born. So he says, great pain you will greatly desire. The word implies, this is the Expanded Bible, the word implies a desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. And that's putting the perspective and the positioning of the husband as the head of the home and the wife as a helpmeet, which he created us women to be. However, my heading to that is how many husbands and wives are terrified of their spouses. Terrified. I know some absolutely scared about their wives, who are too scared to speak their mind because their wife will get angry. Folks, don't fear man, fear God. Amen.